Thanks for tuning in, and welcome to the Good Earth's weekly radio show, Another Day of Living, where the conversations are all about eating well, living well, and feeling good. And now, here's your host, Alex Litwack.
That's why I'm telling you, I just want to celebrate, yeah. Another day of living, yeah. I just want to celebrate another day of living.
We are back for part 2 of my conversation with Deb McClure-Smith about Bach flower remedies. Hello, Deb.
Hi, Alex. We left them with a cliffhanger last week. We only got 6 remedies done, and Dr. Bach, who developed these remedies to deal with emotional states in our being, to help us heal, help prevent disease. Each of these remedies deals with a specific emotional state. We stated the 7 different emotions, which are fear, uncertainty, insufficient interest in present circumstances, loneliness, those who are overly sensitive or easily influenced by others' ideas, those who are despondent or very depressed, and for people who are smothering and over-controlling in their care for others.
So those 7 categories are the overriding larger emotion, and within those 7 categories are these 38 different remedies.
Right.
And what we're doing is we started alphabetically.
Yes.
We did Rescue Remedy first, out of the alphabet, because Rescue Remedy is a combination that is just so good for so many stressful situations.
Right.
And injuries and trauma and things like that. But now we're going through alphabetically, and we're only at the letter C.
Yes, we are only at the letter C. And you know, one other side thing I would also like to say about Rescue Remedy with an emotional stressor, stressors can be good things. Like if you've all of a sudden found out that you won the lottery and you are so excited you can hardly stand it and you're losing control because you're that excited, Rescue Remedy can calm you down and help you sign the check.
Oh, I love that, because today when I bought my Powerball ticket, I asked for the winning ticket.
And did you say you're going to share it with someone that you're talking to today?
I have very good sharing skills, but I will get some Rescue Remedy on hand for when the announcement comes.
Yay! Yes, exactly. I'll bring it over to you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we are starting with what remedy?
Now we're going to chestnut bud. And chestnut bud is if you find yourself making the same mistakes over and over again and you fail to learn from your experiences. Chicory, which you know is very bitter, that is if you're possessive and manipulative and you need to be needed and you feel unloved and underappreciated, chicory helps with that. Clematis, if you often feel spacey and out of touch with the real world, if you're kind of a daydreamer and you find yourself unable to focus or concentrate for any length of time. Crabapple is if you're obsessed with cleanliness, if you're embarrassed or ashamed of yourself or how you look, or if you find yourself unattractive, if you tend to concentrate on small little things, like if you have a pimple or a breakout and you just focus on that, that is where you would use crabapple.
That's so interesting. How did he figure that out?
I don't know.
I mean, really, he must have, as we've talked before, done provings and really been incredibly observant, and people had to really hone in on that emotional state of being.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, that's the interesting thing, is how specific these get with emotional responses. So another one is elm. Elm is wonderful if you're overwhelmed. I will tell you, when we have moved, elm has helped so much when we're packing, and you just look at everything and it's like, I can't even get started. I am so overwhelmed. Or if you have a huge project coming up and you don't even know where to begin, elm is your go-to remedy. It really, really helps. And it helps if you get depressed or exhausted, when you're faced with everyday's situations and things that everyday commitments. Gentian. Gentian is if you tend to become discouraged and depressed when things go wrong. If you're easily disheartened when you're faced with difficult situations. Gorse. Gorse is just like it sounds. If it's your you're despondent, you're hopeless, you're at the end of your rope, you lack confidence that things will ever get better for you. Gorse, if you've ever looked at it, it's low, it grows in very hard conditions, and it has needles on it. So it's just it's a sad, despondent looking plant. Heather. Heather is if you are totally self-absorbed and you're concerned only about yourself and your own problems. And if you talk all the time about yourself, ooh, there's a few people we could think of who need that.
And so you'll be slipping some of that.
Yes, I will.
Into
if they
their
notice
drink.
the heather is gone at Good Earth, it would be because I bought it.
I feel like you're like the stealth flower remedy lady.
I am a stealth flower remedy. Everyone
yes.
will be laughing and jolly in there.
Yes.
All right, so holly is if you're very jealous and if you're hateful and if you mistrust others and you feel great anger towards other people. And I will tell you with animals, holly can work great when you introduce another animal into your house and your first animal is really possessive of you and angry about the other animal. Holly works great. Honeysuckle. That's if you find yourself living in the past. You're nostalgic. You're homesick. You want things to be the way they were. Hornbeam is if you feel really exhausted and tired. You just can't face the day and you feel overworked or bored with your life. That would be hornbeam. Impatience sounds just like it is. Impatience, you're impatient. You get very upset with people easily. You prefer to work alone. You have a sense of urgency in everything you do, and you always want to rush to get through things. Larch is if you lack self-confidence, if you feel inferior or you become discouraged. Mimulus, as you said with your little dog, is when you're afraid of things, but you know what you're afraid of. You can pinpoint it. I'm afraid of new people. I'm afraid of death. I'm afraid of illness. If you're shy, if you're overly sensitive, that's where Mimulus works. Mustard, you feel gloomy. You seem to really descend into gloom quickly and easily. You feel your mood swinging back and forth, and you feel depressed, but you just can't figure out why. With oak, you're exhausted, and you feel the need to push on no matter what. You are just going to push through everything. You have a sense of duty and dependability, and you're going to carry on no matter what the circumstances are. With olive, you're utterly and completely exhausted physically and mentally. You are drained of all energy, and everything is an effort that you're trying to do.
Which would be a great remedy after either a big trauma, after labor and delivery,
Right.
after a hospitalization.
Yes. Exactly. Or something where, you've had to get, like if you just got fired from a job and you're utterly despondent, you have no energy, you just can't even face the day, that would be a great remedy to use. Pine is if you're feeling very guilty and self-reproach. You blame yourself for everything that goes wrong. You set very high standards for yourself. Red chestnut, you're excessively concerned about your loved ones, and you worry about them all the time. You worry about what harm can come from them, and you're distressed, and you really get upset by other people's problems. Rock rose is where you feel terror and panic. And as we said, that's in Rescue Remedy. So rock rose is where you just feel frozen. You can't even face your fear. You have nightmares. Rock rose is great for that. Rock water is if you're inflexible in your approach to life. You're very rigid. You don't change your routine. You don't change what you do. You're overly concerned with your diet, with exercise. Very disciplined. Rock water can help kind of loosen you up. Scalantheris, that's if you find it difficult to decide what to do when you have a choice to make. If you can't concentrate, if you're always fidgety, are you always nervous? Do your moods swing from one extreme to the other? That would be Scalantheris. Star of Bethlehem is tremendous. It's for past trauma, past pain, things that have happened to you as you were growing up. If you're numbed or withdrawn because of a recent traumatic event. It also helps if you've suffered a loss or grief that you've never recovered from. Then there's sweet chestnut. That's if you suffer from extreme mental anguish. and you feel as though the future doesn't have anything in store for you. Vervain, if you feel tense and you're high strung, you have very strong opinions and only yours are the right ones.
You sort of looked at me on that one, Deb.
Oh, no, I didn't. I did the double eye blink, though. I did notice that. Not going any further with that one.
Okay, okay.
Well, I'm reading these and I'm thinking, wow, that's me. Ooh, I could use that one. I think I'm up to like 10 different remedies now that I could use.
Well, I think everyone can identify with these emotions.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, whether if you're an impatient person or
Yes.
you're a clingy person or you're a
Yes.
weepy person.
Or you really want your routine, and if someone gets you out of that routine, you're a little bit upset with them.
Yes, you like to be in control.
Oh, yeah.
I
yeah.
get it. Okay.
I mean, it is just so fascinating. And like I said, you can use these on children too. So if you have a child who is extremely clingy and needy and has to have their routine all the time, some of these remedies could really help them. And getting them started at an early age, they're not deeply embedded, so it's easily to root them out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yes, I just love them. So Vine is if you tend to be domineering and overbearing, you always have to be right, you're inflexible and you feel like you know more than anybody else. Walnut is anytime you go through change. So if you're moving, once again, you lost your job, you're breaking up in a relationship, someone has just died that you know, walnut can really help you. And if you're disturbed or distracted by outside influences and if you need to make a break from something and you just can't do it, walnut can help push you on through so you can make that change. Water violet is really good too. That's if you tend to be aloof and overly proud. You have a tendency to be withdrawn and you prefer to be alone, or you bear your grief on your own. You're kind of a martyr. You don't want anybody else to help you. Water violet is your go-to. White chestnut, as I mentioned in our first interview, I love white chestnut because that's if you find persistent or unwanted thoughts that prevent you from concentrating. You relive unhappy arguments or events. You're unable to sleep because you wake up and your mind starts racing. White chestnut helps a lot with that.
And there are lots of us out there who have a little bit of a monkey mind.
Yes, and you know what I do sometimes is if I've been through a stressful day or something, I'll put a little glass of water beside my bed and put some of the rescue remedy or the white chestnut or whatever remedy I need in that glass. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I take a drink of it, and then you get the benefit of the remedy right then. Wild oat is if you find yourself in a complete state of uncertainty over a major decision. You're displeased with your lifestyle. You have an ambition, but you feel that life is just going right on by you. You can't make yourself get motivated and move. Wild oat will help you there. Wild rose is if you're apathetic and you're resigned to whatever life is handed to you. You feel like I'll just have to live with it. You lack motivation. You can't improve your life. That's where wild rose is handy. And our last remedy is willow. And that's if you're resentful and bitter and you have difficulty forgiving and you feel like life is unfair and you've just been handed a bad deal. Willow will help you with that.
Well, I think about weeping willows.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and they just look like they feel sorry for themselves.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
all bent over.
And as you said in the first part of this interview, there aren't any new Bach flower remedies. There
No.
aren't any new categories.
Not in Bach flower.
Not in Bach flower. There are other kinds of flower remedies
Yes.
out there, but they're not this. So these are pretty tried and true.
Yes. They've been around almost 100 years now. So they are tried and true. And as I said, I just love these because they're solid. When you hear the descriptions, they're very straightforward. They're very solid. They're not dealing on an esoteric level or a New Age level.
But I do think that there are a number of remedies that might fit for somebody.
Yes.
So then you've got to decide whether you want to just combine them or start with one.
Right.
And maybe do that for a couple of weeks, add a second one in, and sort of you can build on that first one that you take.
You can. And, that could be a good way to do it if you find you take the questionnaire if I've taken that questionnaire, sometimes when I've done it, there are only 3 questions to each one. So it's not like you're asking 15 or 20 questions. So it's really easy. And if you go through all the remedies and you have one that you have X'd every box, you need that remedy.
I think that, like pain, physical pain, emotional pain, sometimes you don't notice that the change is the absence of that emotional pain.
Yes. And sometimes, you know what? It's scary to feel the absence of that emotional pain because you've lived with it for so long that when it's gone, it feels like a void and you don't know how to fill it. Well, the Bach flower remedies, as I said, they help you get to a positive view of not having that emotional pain.
I'm really impressed by Dr. Bach and what he was able to create.
Yes, and there are some great books that go into even more depth that you can get. You can go to their website. It's BACH.
Well, I've loved learning about all of these, and I love always having you on the show to talk about something that helps people feel better. Thanks so much, Deb.
My pleasure.
The Good Earth Natural Food Company is celebrating its 46th year as Indy's original source for organic foods, high-quality supplements, toxin-free body care products, therapeutic herbs and teas, cooking spices, essential oils, healthy shoes, and so much more. Our experienced staff is here to help you choose from over 20,000 items in our lively home in the village of Broad Ripple. We're open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sundays, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And our website is good-earth.com.
And darling, you'll always be the only one for me. Heaven made you specially. Could it be I'm falling in love with you, baby? Could it be I'm falling in love? Could it be I'm falling in love with you? With you? With you?
Glorious day. I'm sitting out in the Good Earth Treehouse, and with me is Lainey Williams. Hello.
Hello, Alex. It's so lovely to be here.
We haven't done this in a while.
I know, I miss it.
I know, me too. And I'm hoping that the, waterfowl decide to be quiet and not too many motorcycles or delivery trucks come by.
Right.
Because we have important things to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about essential oils for a while.
No, we have not. And when we've talked about essential oils, we've only done a little bit. So I want to start at the beginning. It's my favorite place to start.
Right. So I'm not going to go crazy specific on the beginning, but essential oils have basically been around for a very, very, very long time. There were essential oils back in the day of Jesus, and there was anointing with said oils and so on and so forth. So there was, alchemy in history, and basically the French figured out how to steam distill the essence of a plant into this concentrated oil. We know that essential oils were, for centuries, were the only forms of medicine, basically. I mean, people could go out and, forage and pick herbs that had medicinal properties, and they did do that. But also there were oils that were concentrated, and, it wasn't until the Renaissance/scientific revolution that scientists and chemists started cataloging the effects of these oils, and that actually, they were doing A, B, and C, but it wasn't really until the turn of the 19th century when a French chemist who started realizing that lavender was an amazing healer of this wound he had, and it actually made the scar go away faster than some other products that were out there on the market. And, so anyway, lots and lots of cataloging, but these have been around for years and years and years. So that's fascinating. I don't know how the French figured out how to do this, but
They're clever.
They are clever, those French. All the French.
They have some nice food and some
Yeah.
clever ways. So do essential oils come from plants only?
Well, yes, but there are some fruits that can be an essential oil also. And I don't know what the qualifications are chemically, but not every plant or fruit can be an essential oil. Okay, like there's essential oils of citrus fruits, right? But there's not an essential oil of a tomato, for example, or a cucumber, or a melon. Another interesting thing about essential oils, which is one of the things that I wanted to talk about, is not all of the chemical compounds found in the plant make it to the final product. I'm not sure chemically why they don't all make it. All the compounds don't make it. But if you, for example, peppermint, okay, if you analyze a peppermint tea chemical compounds versus a peppermint essential oil chemical compounds, they are not necessarily the same. There are some that make it to the essential oil that maybe don't make it to the tea, and vice versa. So the reason why that is interesting to me and a good piece of information is the whole discussion about food grade essential oils. Okay, there are companies on the market out there that claim their essential oils are food grade. And, you know, people come into the store and they say, oh, no, we want to buy food grade essential oils. And frankly speaking, none of our essential oils say food grade, because technically essential oils are not meant for internal consumption. Some of them can be used internally safely, and some of them cannot. And part of that reason has to do with the varied chemical compounds that make it to the end product of the essential oil. They're not the same as a dried plant of the same name, okay? So fascinating. You need to do the research and find out before you delve in that realm.
So when this plant is distilled, steam distilled, what is left is an oily compound, or is oil being added to what is distilled down?
No, it does have the word oil in its name, an essential oil, but there is no oil. Okay, there might be a naturally occurring oil that makes it to the essential oil. In other words, some essential oils are thicker than others, or more viscous, because they have a high oil content. Vetiver is very thick and it almost never goes through that little reducer lid. You have to take the lid off sometimes because it's a thick essential oil. But an essential oil by its definition is merely the pure essence of the plant as extracted in a steam distillation process. Okay, there is no carrier oil. We call them carrier oils, a way to dilute the essential oil. There's no carrier oil in an essential oil. So if you're looking at a bottle and it says pure essential oil, it's pure essential oil.
And that is really concentrated.
Super concentrated.
And you
Yes.
have to be careful.
Yes, you do have to be careful. That's exactly right. And so I think there might be some misinformation out there on the market about these things, because people are using them internally, and sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. External use also. There are a few that you can apply directly to your skin without diluting. But there are, most of them, you should not do that. And the reason is they are so strong and so concentrated that it's like too much for your body. It's too much for your skin because, you know, as we know, your skin is an incredibly absorbable organ, and anything you put on your skin is going to go zip right into your bloodstream and your little capillaries, and voila, there it is in your body. So most of the time when you're using essential oils topically, you want to dilute them in what we call a carrier oil. It can be any oil. It can be almond oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, pick one. Is just as long as what you're doing is you're just making it less intense.
What's the ratio that you should use with an essential oil versus a carrier oil?
It depends on what you're doing with it. You can make a super, super strong solution with 1 drop of carrier oil and 1 drop of essential oil. Let's say you have a wound that you want to heal. You know, you could do something really strong like that. Like if you want to do lavender Lavender's one of the ones that you could probably put on your skin without diluting it, because it's very, very healing. Tea tree oil is another one. But most of them you want to dilute.
So you get to be your own little chemist.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're doing a massage oil, for example, let's say you have a 4-ounce bottle, you might add 15 to 25 drops of essential oil in a 4-ounce bottle. So that's a much weaker solution, but you're going to get the therapeutic properties of that oil on the skin when you're doing a massage.
And you can also do essential oils in water, can't you?
Yes.
So that you could mist them?
Yes. You can do so many things with them, it's almost crazy. I mean, you can put 3 or 4 drops in a bathtub water, okay? 3 or 4 drops will give you an amazing aroma experience, as well as you're going to get it on your skin, okay? So this is the other thing that's fascinating. But anyway, you can put them in your bathtub water. I like to turn my vacuum cleaner over and put a few drops on the roller. And then when you vacuum your house, your whole, that essential oil goes through your house. There's diffusers. There's, you can put a few drops on a cotton ball and stick it by your bed. You don't have to have fancy stuff to use these things. A lot of people use them like medicine on the bottom of the feet. There's a crazy specific science with these oils. You've got several things happening. You've got the actual plant, okay, like let's say you're putting it on your skin, going into your body. You've also got the science of the aroma. When you smell an oil, the oil, if you really start paying attention, where does the oil go? Does it go up to your head? Does it go down your body? What do you smell in the first part of the smell? What do you smell at the end part of the smell? And it's really fascinating. And so then you have the science of the aroma, okay, and how the aroma affects your body physiologically, psychologically. And so there are aromatherapists, scientists that get really specific with all of this stuff, which is pretty cool.
All right, we are out of time for this show. I know, crazy, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I have so much more to talk about.
Which we're going to do in a few weeks or next week. I'm not sure which, but we are going to get into some of the specifics that you're talking about, what your favorites are, and different.
Oh, we got to talk about blending. We got to talk about
lots of stuff. So, Lainey Williams, thanks for being on the show.
Alex, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Well, I can't be bothered with sorrow, and I can't be bothered with hate, no. I'm using up my time for feeling fine every day, yeah. That's why I'm telling you, I just want to celebrate.
That's our show. Next week, my guest is spiritual counselor Laura Rain. I hope you'll join me. The week after that, Lainey will be back talking more about essential oils. If you've missed a show, you can find it at goodearthradio.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Alex Litwack. Have a great week.
The happiest half hour of your day has been brought to you by the Good Earth Natural Food Company, keeping Indy healthy since 1971.